Hello and welcome to Behind the Sound. In this videos I'd like to show you around in my projects, show how I make it, how I made the sounds and the music and the composing and effects, talk about mixing, whatever is important, and also show you the instruments. So in this case I'd like to show you the sound and the music I made for the short movie Emilia. It's a German short movie made by students at my local university, and they asked me to help them out with sound and the music, and it was like a week before they had to finish it. So all you can see is the work of 3 days, like one whole day of work and one morning and one evening. So without further ado, let's get started. I got only one stereo file of sound. Some of the sounds were kind of cut off, reverb was cut off, some sounds missing, some sounds blending into each other. Also, it was all sound that was recorded in one file, so we had the car sounds and the dialogue and some other background sounds all in one file. And what I did was, you can see that on these tracks here, or actually on all the tracks here, I divided this file up on several tracks. I divided them, I edited it, and I applied effects and equalizer to get a certain sound and clean it up. Okay, so let's start with the original file. Let's have a quick peek and I'll show you some issue I had to solve. You can hear and see it.
Aber erst musst du die Augen zumachen.
And you can hear it was not me, it was the file that there were stuff missing, cut off because of the editing. And I solved this problem by just taking parts of noise where nobody is speaking and fill it up at this point. So this is one technique to fill up silence, because silence is very bad. You can hear it, like you heard it very clearly, that there's complete silence in the middle. There is a special issue I'd like to show you. It's a bit later.
Was? Ich wollte mir eine Fassel, oder da?
Ja, im Garten, musst du gucken.
No.
Hallo Mäuschen, alles Gute zum Geburtstag.
You heard it. She yells about the dog Lola and says Lola and then Lola, and this is due to the editing. As you see, the picture changes, so I didn't have the chance to make it any better than that, because it were 2 different recordings because of 2 different camera angles. So the Lola was different in both types, and they were speaking at this point in the foreground. So I couldn't do anything about that. So just to show you what kind of issues I had and what you normally would avoid if you have the chance and more time. So you can see this is the main dialogue, the purple ones. The orange ones are mostly sounds that are recorded on set, or mostly just background sounds I kept and didn't replace. Then we have the necklace, which is at the end of the movie. So, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, then I would recommend to watch it now. I have a link in the description, because it's a lot of spoiler now. And I'm not gonna show you it in this video because it's on its own on YouTube, and also the whole soundtrack, because I'm talking on the music later, so the whole soundtrack is also on my channel. Links are in the description at the end of the video, so go check it out. And you can hear the necklace falling at the end. It was slowed down because of the video, and I added reverb on it. So I put it on another track just for this little part.
Seit gestern wird die 10-jährige Emilia vermisst. Sie trägt Jeans.
For this part where you can hear some guy talking from the off in the original.
Ein T-Shirt mit Flamingos und
it was a normal sound, so it had to be the impression like it's coming from a TV or a radio. And to achieve this, I used equalization, cut off the lows and the highs and kept where the speech is located. And I also used compression and some tape effect and also filter. So then next one with this sort of effect is a telephone. It is here. Let's have a look.
Nee, warum? Was ist passiert?
And original.
Nee, warum? Was ist passiert?
And you can also hear some noise from the wind or stuff. And I also filtered it out. And just because of the equalization, I got rid of these sounds, because for a telephone you usually just keep the sounds that a telephone is technically able to broadcast, or the old telephones were able. So get rid of the lows, get rid of the highs, keep the speech point, which is usually about 2 or 3 kilohertz. So that's the telephone. Then have a look at some steps for this scene. I can hear it here, and especially here I'm gonna switch to the original one, then you know what I mean. Did you hear these wobble, blop, 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 wobble sounds that came from the boom pole with the microphone? Something was not really attached properly, so we had some noise we don't want. And I solved this problem by using some steps from before, like this part here, and I replaced them here, and there's still a little bit of the wobbling sound, but with a low cut I got rid of these. So at the end, let's have a look at the flashbacks. Something like this. Same at the end, in the credit scene. These are just just the samples from the scenes in the movie. And for this, also low cut, high cut, and compression. And I used this reverb to get the long tail. This is all about the dialogue scenes. The most of it is just work, editing, and cleaning it up. So nothing really special about it. If you have any questions, just ask me. Okay, next up is the sound design, which is very important because it makes a huge difference, and sound in general is very important for movies. That is something that a lot of people underestimate. Also, a lot of young filmmakers underestimate if you're just caring about the camera and the picture. And when they're shooting, they often forget about the sound. And in the end, if you have bad sound, you will recognize this much more than if you have bad video. A good sound makes it feel very high quality, even if the picture is not very nice. So that's why I tried to do the best out of the dialogue, but I had more possibilities with sound design to replace sounds and to add more sounds for the background. Let's start scene by scene with the sound design. There are two parts of sound design. That means the one is the background noises, the atmospheres, which are added to get the impression of the room and the sound you expect being in that room. So for the first scene, as you can hear, there's a living room. So there's with birds outside and living room sounds. And I used a clock sound because I thought and Grandma would have a living room with a big clock in it. The kitchen scene, kitchen sounds, fridge. Then we have a car. So I layered the original car sound with another car because I cleaned up this sound and got rid of the lows and some frequencies to enhance the speech. So to fill it up again with the car, because the car is coming in the scene, it's a major thing in the scene, so I featured it by layering with a car sound, engine sound. Also, small things here are doors. Next up, again, there's a living room scene, so same sounds again, of course, because it's the same room, same scene, same sounds again. Traffic, and often you layer the sounds just because the one sample is not enough, and then you just layer the samples. Then we have office. And next, car again. Car doors. Open, close, bloop. Alright. Next up, we have again the street scene, which is a time lapse, so it doesn't have any sound in it originally. So I just added again kind of the same sounds. You can use the same samples, or just take, because the samples are very long, you can use another part of the sample or just use the same sample, especially when you're layering the stuff, then in the end you don't hear. If there's not a specific sound in it that stands out, you can use the same samples again. And by the way, if you're wondering, all of those sounds are from free sites like freesound.com. Party Talk, which is a really nice sample. And I layered it with people on the street, because it's a party and they are on the streets, so why not? Also city ambience, I added that too, right? So lots of sound. It's a party, so it's always very noisy. Then a special sound design part where there is a bee and it's in the foreground. And of course in the original file you won't hear anything. So I kept the kids playing, didn't change anything about that, just added up the bee sound, which is one bee sample which was recorded, which is very nice because I think it's not easy to record a bee that clear and nice. And with editing, I got it fly and stop and fly again. Office scene, the car passing by. For this scene where she's disappearing, and you heard it's coming from the left going to the right, I just did an automation with panning for this sound. Car again. Doors. Then we have doors in the room. The door made bad screech noises that I couldn't keep it. There I have something special. I'm kind of glad that you don't hear it in the end, because this was actually me trying to ad-lib or try to do this crying. It's, yeah, I think it doesn't work. I kept it anyway. But there's something special at the end. And this was me slapping on some piece of wood. And this is actually the only part where I did foley. So foley, that's made on the big Hollywood productions when they have the money to hire people that do nothing else than live recordings of the sounds to the picture. So like chains and cloth and stuff. So not handling around with samples, but they are using real stuff with microphones and do it at the same time as it happens on the movie. This is also part of the sound design when you need sound to tell the story without a picture. And this is some kind of example because it's off screen, it's black, and the daughter is coming into the room, so we need to hear the door opening. And that was the sound there. So that's about the sound design, because we're at the end of the movie. Then let's go to the music. We have piano, and piano is the main thing, also because the piano was the starting point. And as you can see here, this is an original recording I got as kind of an inspiration, as a basis to build the whole soundtrack on that track. It was composed by the brother of one of the girls who made the movie, and she gave it to me and said, yeah, he wrote this piece for the movie and they like it, and so I worked with this. But because of copyright reasons, I replaced this file with my own interpretation, which is a little bit different. I actually recreated it with piano. I did a slightly different one here. It uses the same chords, and I tried to keep the atmosphere but changed the melody. So yeah, that's it. Then let's have a look at the instrument. It's the grandeur. Really nice piano from Native Instruments. I like it because it has a natural sound and really lots of good sound options. Let's go through it from the beginning. We have, right from the start, scoring guitars. This is my favorite instrument, I think, of all of my instruments. Some I have here and instruments I have down here. And this is really my favorite because it's awesome sound of guitars and so easy and intuitive to play. And it has not only this drones and ambience, it has pulses and phrases, all kinds of different guitar sound. And I used it a lot in the soundtrack, especially for the dark and uncomfortable parts. So scoring guitars are here, pulses and pads. So let's have a listen how it sounds. Piano. Same chords at the end, but no melody. Crescendo cello. For the cello, I used my good and old symphonic orchestra. I used cello and also clarinet. Didn't use the vibraphone, but I used violas as well. The pad. Just a little build up with really low voices. Octave higher and then another octave higher. Here, just a little pulse, which is kind of a hint when we see the necklace, because this is an important motif in the movie. Then we have a special music part here, which is kind of sound design, but I put it onto the music part. You hear it's just a funny beat sample from Cubase. What I did here was filter and reverb, which also dampens it a bit and makes it sound more distant and gives more of the impression of reflection in a city where there are houses nearby. Seen here is drones and pad, very deep, very low, uncomfortable and thinking. Then kind of my tune, my melody, motive, theme, whatever you call it. You can't do proper themes and tunes in a short movie, but I try to do something like this. Part here where it's rewinding, of course, reverse piano. I just did a sound from the piano and then recorded it and reversed it. The pulse again, which is, I think it was the pulse, which is also reversed. Yep. All these reverse sounds are played when it's in the story where the memory is getting indistinct, and she's kind of thinking back. So also the music is going back, and the guitar is the theme for that. So kind of the sound for it, and so it goes back. Then some pulses I really like, because it has a bit of a clock sound. So it's this waiting for her mother. It builds up until the point where she disappears. Then she's at home searching for her daughter, and of course we have just simple deep drones, nothing that's in the foreground, nothing that distracts the audience by watching it, because it's with dialogue at the scene, and we don't want it to get like emotion right into your face. Of course, the theme sound of thinking of her daughter with guitar. And then we have pads again. And now in her head is a lot going on, so the music is also, it's a lot going on, not musically, but more in the rhythm. So I really went along with the picture. When you watch her, she starts to cry and starts to kind of lose herself. So the music gets really deep. And piano, as you can see, it's not really a melody, it's just rhythm. Also, the guitar doesn't have a distinct rhythm, it's just like going around, like it's going around in her head. Remembering, so guitars going in reverse. Because she's watching the old newspaper parts where it's telling about her daughter who disappeared and then was found again. And now she got told that she has dementia, she's sick. So now we know why her memories are different and why she doesn't really know what happened exactly. So we saw kind of the same thing in two different ways. So yeah, just nothing special musically, it's mostly just going along with the picture and going along with the emotions you have, or the emotions she has. So that's the most important thing, just telling her emotions, telling the stuff you can't see. So there we are at the end. Necklace is falling. And then we have the end credit song. So let's have a quick look at the end credit song. The piano I told you before, and supporting violas. Let's have a listen to the violas. Just pads supporting it. Same with cello. Also supporting just the chords. C minor. Some deep hits. Bass drum. And we have the drone. And there's a clarinet. It's kind of this end of the movie, which doesn't have to be really sad. It should be more happy and more hopeful. So that's why I chose the clarinet to get this hopeful sound. It's still a bit sad, but it's also hopeful. So pauses just for the theme. And I had to stop them at this point because they went to another key in the sample. So I stopped them at that point and continued the sound with the clarinet. So once again, just so I followed the melody that was in the sample with the clarinet. Okay, yeah, so that's it. And it's open. It's not, C is not the last key, so it could be, but it's kind of open end. Because the movie is open end, so music is too. Alright, so that's it, I think. I hope it's not too long. I hope you enjoyed this. So see you later. Thanks for watching.